Hello and welcome back to Intercepts and Graphing. This is part 2 of the video. It's getting a little long. I'd like to keep them a little shorter. So let's look at not the word problems, just some generic equations. I find the vertical and horizontal intercepts, use the intercepts to graph the lines. Okay, so if I want to find the vertical intercept, I want to find y-intercept, so I'm going to let x be 0. So when x is 0, I end up with just 2y equals 40. Divide by 2, I get y equals 20. Why is it that I end up with just 2y equals 40? I call this the cover-up method. On the board, I would say, well, if x is 0, x times 0, or 0 times 8 is 0, and so I would just cover this up. That's all that's remaining from the equation. Similarly, the horizontal intercept, make y equal 0. If y is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. We cover this up. I call this Tuesday's cover-up method. Shout out to one of my professors back in the day, Craig Steenberg. It was Steenberg at Lewis Clark State College. It's actually called Craig's cover-up method, but I doubt he'll ever see this video, or anyone that knows him will see this video. So it's now called Tuesday's cover-up method. When y equals 0, right, 2 times 0 is 0, that goes away, and I'm left with 8x equals 40. Divide by 8, and I get x equals 5. Remember, these correspond to points. X value is 5. I assumed the y value was 0 here. We assumed an x value of 0, the y value was 20. So let's put up our coordinate system. Based on the values we have, I believe I'm going to label everything by 5s. We have 0, 20, 0, 20. And we have 5, 0, and we can draw the line between them. There we go. We could graph using the intercepts if we're given an equation in general form. Let's try that again. When x is 0, cover that up. We have negative 4y equals 24. When we divide by a negative 4, 24 divided by a negative 4 is a negative 6. That's a 0.0 negative 6. When we're looking for the horizontal intercept, that's a y equals 0. If y equals 0, I have 3x equals 24. In terms, this will give us, dividing by 3, x will be 8. In point form, always keep point form in mind. Let me see, looking at my values, I have negative 6, 8. 8 kind of gets big, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let's go negative direction, 2, 4, 6, 8, and negative 10. All right, so here I've gone by 5s. Of course, you can't read that as a 20. Just scribble that out. All right, I shouldn't scribble. I should make it look nice. I have it labeled up here appropriately. So we have 0, negative 6, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. Make the dot big if you need to be able to see it. 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, comma 0, and we can draw the line between them. There we go. All right. Not too bad, right? These are things you can do. And let's keep doing it. When x equals 0, covering up the x values, I have negative 6y equals 10. When I divide, 10 divided by negative 6, that's 5 over negative 3. So my y value is 0, negative 5/3. And it doesn't matter if that negative is with the 3 in front of the fraction or with the 5. As long as you only have one negative value, we can kind of put it anywhere. If y is 0, cover up the y, I have 5x equals 10. so that x equals 2, and we have the point 2, 0. Now, since these values, my intercepts here, are somewhat small, I'm going to use some big spacing. 1, 2. It's in the negative direction. -1, -2. Now remember 5/3. 5/3 is a little less than 2. It's actually -1 2/3. So close enough is good enough. My 2, 0. If you're using technology to create these graphs, not the technology I'm using with just a pen, but actual grid graph technology, Desmos is a great one. You could use Desmos to graph this pretty easily. Or your online homework system, you can definitely graph these. All right, last one of this type before we get into specialty lines. Again, this is where I'd like for you to hit pause. Hit pause, try the example on your own, unpause, watch me do it, unpause, is that what you do? Just hit play again, and check your answer against mine. Go ahead and hit pause now. And we're back. I know you probably didn't pause, but that's all right. Just giving everybody a chance, a good chance to try it on their own, because watching is one thing, but being able to do it, that's a whole different thing, right? It's always easier when you're watching somebody else do math somehow. If x is 0, I'll have 3y equals 18. Divide both sides by 3. I get y equals 6. And it tells me exactly where that 6 goes. It's the y value. The other one's 0. If I find my horizontal intercept, my y value is 0. I have 2x equals 18. So x equals 9. Again, x is the 9. The other one is 0. Create our coordinate system. Let's go by 3s. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. And 0, 6. 9, 0. Once we have the intercepts, all we need is 2 points to determine the graph of a straight line. Of course, nothing about that line is straight, but we're going to accept it anyway. All right, so graphing using intercepts is it actually has about the same number of steps as graphing with slope-intercept form. I like them both. It just depends. Having both skills is nice because no matter which way a formula is given to you, you are able to graph it, right? You don't have to transform it into slope-intercept form. You could just do the intercepts themselves. Two special types of lines we have are horizontal lines and vertical lines. Horizontal line, as we saw in an earlier video, if you're watching in order, horizontal line has the form, an equation of the form y equals k, and the slope is 0. So let's look at this y equals -2 using black. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just for kicks, we'll go out here. Now the y value is -2. That's it, is -2. So on the y-axis, find -2. It doesn't tell us anything about x. That tells us that x could be anything at all. Y is always going to be a -2. For x equals 1, oh, y is -2. For x equals -10,478, oh look, y is -2. Y doesn't care anything about x, right? This is like a big sibling to a little sibling. They don't care, like whatever, you go do you. I'm off in my own little world, right? It doesn't matter. All right, so a horizontal line, y equals, if there's no x showing, it's just a horizontal line. Similarly, vertical lines. A vertical line has an equation of the form x equals k, and the slope is undefined. All right, let's take a look at that. X equals 3. So we'll draw our coordinate system. There's 5. Good enough. our x value is 3. And again, x doesn't care what y is doing. There's no y showing. X is always 3. And if x is always 3, then we'll have a line, a vertical line that goes just through 3. Now, frequently I refer to this as skiing, and I mentioned earlier, I believe, maybe a different video, here in Las Cruces, we don't do a lot of skiing, but horizontal lines, that's like when you're cross-country skiing or snowshoeing, right? There's a lot of effort in that, right? And there's no tilt, nothing like that. You're not going to have gravity helping you out or anything. But if you go skiing or snowboarding off of a vertical line, like a cliff face, you're probably going to die. You too will be undefined. That's it. That's how I remember it. It's all about skiing somehow. All right, that is it for this video. Intercepts and graphing part 2. Thanks for listening.